Welcome to Amy's Bookshelf Reviews podcast. I'm Amy Shannon, but you can call me Amy. Thank you for listening.
Hello and welcome, and I hope all is well with you. And I'm Amy, and I'm talking about Talia Haven's book. It's a short story called Mama Cried. And it's one of those powerful stories with great characters. And it's a short story. And there's a lot of stuff packed into the short story that has the right amount of details, the right amount of character development, and also that intrigue that makes a reader want to continue to read the story once they start the first word. And I say intrigue for any genre because you want that authors want the readers to continue to read and flip the pages and continue on to the end. And so you want to know what's going on and you want to know what's happening next. And that this story gives you a lot of uh, emotions. And when it said as the title, Mama Cried, now you're trying to figure out, okay, what's Mama? Who's Mama? And whose mother is she? And why did she cry? Um, and then you look at the book description and it says Jenny was enjoying herself on the swings when Azula, one of the guardians of the playground, came to take her away. Together they journeyed to a cinder building where Jenny must make a powerful decision. Now, Jenny's a child, and um, so you might wonder, okay, so why is there a guardian on the playground? Instead of saying, oh, yeah, her babysitter or her childcare provider or her mother or whatever. And then as you're reading it, you're trying to figure out what decision does Jenny have to make that could change not just her future, her feelings, her emotions, but others as well. Um, I read this book back in 2015, and the author recently contacted me and asked me if I would mind reading it again and sharing it on this podcast. And of course, since I read it back in 2015, I had to reread it, and I'm so glad that I did. I actually went back and reread it several times because it's just that good, that emotional, that powerful. In 2015, I wrote a review and it's short and sweet. Um, but when went back and looked at my review, I realized even though it's a short review, I used to write shorter reviews than I do now. Of course, I've grown as a reviewer. Um, and, but reading my review, it still is exactly what I feel about this particular story. I gave it 5 stars. I called it compelling and gripping. And it's an emotional and compelling story that gives so much within the short tale of a child's heaven. It draws on the reader and keeps them there until the very end. Tears and emotions flow at every page. And I'm not a one to be a crier, but I um, this is one that touches your heart. Short stories are not easy to write because you pack a lot of information into a story within a certain amount of words. And, there are always guidelines, but I think that, an author writes what they write and they don't have to count words. They should just focus on the story and whatever it ends up being. As long as it has a beginning, a middle, and an end, um, then it makes sense. And you don't want to add too much details, or you want to always leave that little hint, like I said, intrigue, but a little hint of um, information that can excel the reader's imagination. And also, when an author puts their emotions on a page, you, as a reader, you should be able to feel what those are. So it is, it's not easy to, okay, I'm writing this story. This is how it makes me feel: sad, happy, joyous, scared, um, or whatever. And then you look at it as, okay, so when the reader reads this book, how is it going to make them feel? It may not be the same kind of emotions, but you want to be able to see the emotions practically jump off the page when you are writing. So, again, this is Talia Haven's Mama Cried. And I am going to read a few pages of the beginning of the story. And I hope you enjoy it. And if you do, you can go to Talia Haven's Amazon profile page, Mama Cried um, book, and she has other books as well. Or you can just do a search on Amazon for Talia Haven, it's Mama Cried, um, and you will find her books, several of them on there, and short stories that she has written. Um, a future show will feature another one of her short stories. So without further ado, I'm going to read Mama Cried. I leaned back, legs and arms stretched, straight, hair streaming behind me. Partway through the arch forward, I bend my arms, pull my body upright, and pump my legs harder. I'm winning, I hollered to the two other swingers before shooting backwards. Brown hair tickles my smiling face until the swing brings me up high enough that I can see just for a moment over the main support pole. I pause, suspended in midair, just for a fraction of a second before leaning backwards. I start to shoot forward again. I'm higher than both of you, Krista hollers back over the metallic squeak of chains. Swinging next to her, Jamal is just as high, next to the swing set. His two puppies are lying on the ground, identical to Krista's and mine. In fact, every puppy on the playground is a fuzzball of fur, black as coal with fire red eyes. The pups pace, bark, and whine each time their children sweep past. I hate it when I play on these, Jamal yells, slowing down just enough to leap off. He flies through the air to land feet first on the green grass. His puppies eagerly rush forward, happy that he's back safe on the ground. The contest is over. Chris and I both slow down. Our bare feet drag on the dirty soil, bringing up puffs of dry dust. Jenny! We both shove our feet harder into the ground, coming to a complete stop. Azula, one of the guardians of the playground, has appeared at the next to the swing set. My puppies, Morgan and Wilson, greet her eagerly, rushing back over to where I sit. Her hands still clenching the steel chains, Krista slips off her swing and hurries to stand next to Jamal, her own two puppies bouncing beside her, playfully tugging at her pant leg. Azula stretches out a pale, thin hand. It's time to go. I nod slowly, slipping off the swing. The wooden seat bounced back against the back of my legs, coming it to a complete stop. Azula and the other guardians only interact with children when they are arriving and when it's time for them to leave. So many other children had come and gone with their puppies over time. It seems like the playground is always getting new arrivals. Some stay for a while, others leave soon after they arrive. Now, one of the guardians has come for me. Azula nods in the direction of Jamal and Krista. Say your goodbyes. Slipping my hand into hers, I turn half-heartedly as to do what I have been told. But Jamal and Krista have already found something else to do. I watch sadly as they head for the teeter-totter, their puppies trailing obediently behind them. Looking up inquisitively at Azula, who looks very pale, I ask, am I going to the same place as the other kids? Azula doesn't answer. Instead, she gives me a gentle smile and begins to lead me away. We walk silently down a dusty path, past sandboxes, slides, and merry-go-rounds full of shrieking, shouting, playing kids, until we come to a field where some older kids are playing a game of kickball. Dozens of puppies obediently sit off to the side, waiting for the players to finish. I don't have to tell Morgan and Wilson to stay even with me, even though they whine with a reddish-brown rubber ball bounces across the center field. It's easy to see that they are both eager to chase it as the other puppies that belong to the players are. We continue on our way, leaving the ball field behind. What is the last thing you remember before you were given your puppies and you came here? Azula asked. It's an easy question. There are only two things I remember about the time I got Morgan and Wilson. Mama cried, I replied sorrowfully, glancing up at Azula. And you said this is where all the dead children come? Behind me, the older kids cheer. I assume someone had kicked a home run, but I don't look back as Azula and I continue our walk. We stop in front of a heavy steel door set inside a gray painted cinder block. On either side of the cinder block is a black nothingness. Glancing behind, I hope that Chris and Jamal have realized I have gone and followed to say goodbye. However, the playground and ball field are no longer in sight. Do you remember why Mama cried? Azula's questions leave me with a funny, uncomfortable feeling and the urge to shift my feet. I can't bring myself to look directly at her as the answer bothers me. I only want to take Morgan and Wilson back to the playground. Sensing my distress, Morgan and Wilson start to whimper. Swallowing hard, I cover my feet with dust. No, I say softly. Satisfied, Azula squeezes my hand. So that is just the start of Talia Haven's Mama Cried. And if you want to read the rest of the story, like I said, go to Amazon.com and you can find this book. It's available in Kindle, and it is a remarkable story. So, this has been Amy Shannon. And if you're an author who wants your book to be on the show, go to amysbookshelfreviews.com/podcast for more information. If you're an author and you want your book reviewed, also go to Amy's Bookshelf Reviews for more information. Thank you, and I'll talk to you next week.
This has been Amy's Bookshelf Reviews podcast. Thank you for listening. And always, be kind and stay safe. Thank you.